Well, move over, President Obama. It was Dr. Ben Carson who stole the show at the National Prayer Breakfast last week. Dr. Carson shared his ideas on taxes and health care, his disdain for political correctness, and also moral decay in America. And get this, he said all this with the president sitting just a few feet away. Here now is Dr. Ben Carson, director of the Pediatric Neurosurgery Division at Johns Hopkins University. Dr. Carson, thank you, sir, for coming on. We've played a lot of the things you said. I just want to ask you specifically, one of the things we didn't play, your idea of health savings accounts for every child that is born, which is something that has circulated but never gotten the kind of street cred that I think it deserves. Can you tell us more on that?
Yeah, well, I said in addition to that, you know, you should have a birth certificate and an electronic medical record. We need to make the system efficient. We spend plenty of money, but we're not actually getting the kind of access that people need. So with the health savings account that you can contribute to from the day that you're born until the day that you die with pre-tax dollars, you accumulate an amount of money over which you have control. And that's really the key issue, because if you have control over it, you're going to very quickly learn how to spend it efficiently. It will also cause the medical sector to begin to make sure that they are offering what they can offer at reasonable prices.
So you'd shop around. You'd really shop around, and that in turn would promote some good market competition and choice. Is that fair?
Exactly.
Yeah, and when you said that, the president was there. Did you talk to him afterwards? Did he say anything?
Yes.
Did his face move? I don't know that he's heard these free market options.
Well, I did talk to him afterwards. He came over. He was very gracious. He said, "Thank you for that wonderful speech. I admire you," and gave me a solid handshake. He was a gentleman about it.
All right, well, that's good to hear. How about the scriptural referral to the flat tax, which I personally loved as a supply-sider? 10% sounded pretty good to me.
Well, you know, as I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be 10. We can vary the rate according to what we need. But here's the key. With the tithing system that God ordained, everybody pays into it, not just one group of people. And the reason that that's so important, particularly with our system of government, is the government officials are not going to be so ready to raise tax rates if it affects everybody. If you can just take 1% or 2% or 5% and you can sock it to them and tell everybody else, see what I'm doing to them and I'm your friend, then of course people are going to be saying, yeah, great. But of course that has nothing to do with fairness. That has to do with power and being a bully, and that's just the opposite of being fair.
Right, retribution. How about the moral decay argument? If I'm not mistaken, you're worried that we may become like Rome at some point.
Yeah, well, you know, there were a lot of values that our founding fathers held. They weren't perfect people by any stretch of the imagination, but they believed in many of the principles articulated in the Bible. And now we've gotten to a place where we say, yeah, this is what the Bible says, but that's just an old silly book. We don't really need to deal with that. We're trying to redefine some of the basic pillars, fundamental pillars of society, changing definitions of things, saying, nothing matters. And I'm all for being fair to everybody. I have no problems with trying to be open-minded. But I don't want to change the fundamental pillars of society in order to accommodate everyone. I don't think that that's an appropriate way to manage things. And if you continue to change your definitions, where do you stop?
What do you think about all this talk that you should run for president? Wall Street Journal ran an editorial on it.
Well, honestly, I've been hearing that for years and years because I do a lot of public speaking, and people are always saying that to me. You know, I'm very concerned about the educational situation in our country, and I've spent a lot of time and effort, you know, trying to ameliorate that situation. That's number one on my priority list. You know, if God would have grabbed me by the collar and forced me into that arena, you know, obviously I would deal with it. But that's not my intention.
I just want to know quickly in our last moment, sir, how you became such a free market advocate. How does a neurosurgeon become a free market advocate?
Well, because I live in the free market. And, you know, a lot of people say, you know, doctors, you should be doing doctoring. Stay out of things that you don't know anything about. I never hear anybody say that to lawyers. And, you know, doctors are extremely well educated, and I completely reject that argument.
All right, great stuff. Many thanks, Dr. Ben Carson. We appreciate you coming on our show, and I wish you all the best of luck on your ideas.